Here in the Netherlands, it's usually once a month, and that was a huge thing. You may not like this one because maybe this is the reason that you're actually moving abroad. Hello, travel lovers, and welcome to A Wanderlust for Life. I'm Jessica. I'm American, and I have lived in Amsterdam here in the Netherlands since 2014. And in this video, we are going to be talking about 7 things that people just don't usually talk about when they move abroad. Let's get into it. Number 1 is culture shock. Yes, I know some of you really don't like that term because you're like, duh, of course things are gonna be different. But the reality is, depending on how you lived your life before you moved abroad, you may not fully understand how different things can be. And sometimes you don't even really notice it just if you're visiting, or if you think, oh, well, it's an English-speaking country. Like if you're moving to England, for example, you may be like, well, they speak English. There's no culture shock there. Yeah, I mean, things are very different in England than it is from the US, and the United States is a very big country. So there's culture shocks to be had, honestly, moving from East Coast to West Coast, North to South, things like that. So just be aware that you will be challenged in your everyday life, and take that as like a learning experience and excitement, because I think your brain like really likes learning and growing and getting new information. It keeps you young, it keeps you on your toes. But it's actually really a good thing because it will broaden your horizons, it will broaden your worldview, it will help with empathy, and really it's just a lot of fun once you get past the frustrating bits. Number 2, bureaucracy. So things are different in each country. Things work a certain way in the United States, even state by state, and of course they change depending on the country as well. I found Dutch bureaucracy to be pretty straightforward, and there are a few countries where I think you wouldn't have any problems. Everything's on the internet. They keep their website up to date with all the changes, and you're not like sent away constantly, because I've heard Italy, for example, you might go in and they're like, no, you need this, you need this, you need to come back, and then you go back and they'll say, oh, you didn't need that. And I just find that very frustrating, but here in the Netherlands, I don't see that to be as much of an issue as long as you do your research ahead of time. But just know that that process may be different than what you already know, whether it's getting a driver's license, or even the fact that you have to register here in the Netherlands, which we don't really have that in the United States. You might change your address with the postal service, and you might switch your driver's license, but there's no like one thing that you do to register or deregister when you move. So that's just one example of a very different style of bureaucracy. I don't think people think about making friends in a new country as much as I did. I was very worried about this, and just how do you make friends when you move to a new country? And I think I did a really good job of that, and I made an entire video on it. I will link that down below, because making friends in a new country can be very challenging depending on, various situations. So did you move for work? Did you move for your partner? Do they speak English? Do you know the language? What are your hobbies? Are you in a city or the country? Like, there's so many different things to think about that making friends can be a very big challenge. And on that same coin, on the other side of the coin, is how it affects your friendships at home. Because the reality is, if you're not there all the time and you're 6 hours ahead or behind, or 9 or 12 hours difference, it can be really hard to keep up friendships from home. And I really think that, you think, oh, we're gonna be best friends forever. And like, I'm about to go back to the United States, and there's a couple friends that I'm gonna catch up with. But the reality is, I don't have a lot of time to see everybody that I would like to. But of course, we live in the day and age where video chatting, messaging, all of that is very common. So if you want to keep your friends from back home, you'll definitely have to put in a little extra effort. If you're enjoying this video, please go ahead and give the video a like, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've moved abroad already, or if you're thinking of moving abroad. And if you are thinking of moving, let me know where, like what country. I'm always very curious how people find these videos. And subscribe if you want more videos like this and travel around Europe, because I have so much more coming. Okay, let's talk about food for a second. This one like really surprised me because you get so used to, especially in the United States, where you have massive stores and there's specialty stores for everything. But for the most part, you can get a lot of what you want at the big box stores or the massive grocery stores. Here in the Netherlands, there's some weird things that I kept finding it really hard to find, especially in a decent quantity. One of those things was baking soda. I mean, first you have to learn what the name is, but then they sell them in like these little pouches at the main grocery store if they have them. But then I found out that the Asian supermarkets carry, you know, the name brand Arm & Hammer that you know from home, and they carry them in the size that you know. So things like that kind of can throw you off a little bit. And if you live in a city, you might find like an American or British food store, and then you can get some of the things that you really, really love from home. But like I said, sometimes it's just the simplest things that you just have to figure out. And luckily I think I've done pretty good about that, but it took me a lot longer than I'd like to admit. But when you move, you know, try your best to really immerse yourself in the local experience. And that means trying the foods that they eat in that country or that city or that region, because those products are gonna be way more readily available to you, and who knows, you might end up loving it. What I find is eventually you'll kind of have a mishmash of cuisines in your home, and I think that's really fun. So we still do American food, and we incorporate some Dutch food into that, as well as some other cuisines that we absolutely love. So just find that balance for you. I bet you have never thought about this one. So how often do you get paid from your job? Like, just in general, is it about every 2 weeks or maybe twice a month? Probably, maybe even every week. Here in the Netherlands, it's usually once a month, and that was a huge thing to adapt to. Can you, like, just think about that for a second. It's a really weird thing to transition from twice a month to once a month. So those kinds of things you might want to research before you move somewhere. And I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys lately about just moving abroad, especially here in the Netherlands, and how certain career things work. So I'm gonna look for like a career coach that can help me answer these questions. I don't really have good answers for you because I started at startups when I first moved here. And then I got a job at booking.com, but I kind of got that job because Sean had already gotten a job at booking.com because it was in his industry, and they were hiring partners of those people who were in tech so that we could try to get work here in the Netherlands. And then I got a permanent contract off of that. So I don't have any experience sending out CVs or interviewing or any of that. So I'm gonna try to find somebody, and if you know somebody, if you're in Amsterdam or really anywhere in the Netherlands, if you know somebody that's really good at that, reach out down below in the comments, or if you're afraid it's gonna get buried, you can send me a DM on Instagram, because I really wanna find somebody that can help answer these questions for you guys. Cost of living. Okay, cost of living varies everywhere. I mean, from where I lived in Virginia to LA to New York to the Midwest, you get the point. Like, everywhere that you go, cost of living is gonna be very, very different, which means your wages are gonna be very, very different. But the main thing to keep in mind is that we have a different tax system. So your cost of living, you know, you have your gross income and you have your net income, but you also need to think about what you're not gonna be paying for, what you do need to be paying for that maybe you didn't before, and just costs that you may or may not have depending on your situation. For example, we pay about the same in insurance, like health insurance, but we pay less on prescriptions and going to the doctor, things like that. We pay for public transportation. Of course, we could take a bike. But we don't pay for a car or car insurance. We pay for our mortgage, but we don't pay for rent, which is a lot more. So you really have to kind of find what each thing is for you, at least the larger cost. And of course, one of those big ones is food. And so you can easily research some of the grocery stores here in the Netherlands online and get an idea of how much things cost. But life is different. So the actual cost that you see for things or that you have in your head, Amsterdam is a very expensive city to live in, but we actually don't really spend as much as we did when we lived in Virginia, which is kind of bonkers. So just look at it all to be able to make a really thoughtful decision before you move. The last one, and you may not like this one because maybe this is the reason that you're actually moving abroad, but leaving where you are does not solve your problems. It may give you distance from certain things, but it's not a cure-all for your life. Trying something new does not fix everything. It may give you space, it may give you perspective, but living in another country is still living your life. So what I mean by that is I still deal with contractors and work stuff and taxes. I have to do 2 taxes, actually 3, because I have state of Virginia, then I have the US, and I have the Netherlands. I'm running a business, so I have to deal with that. Friendships, family, relationships, all of it still exists. You're just living somewhere else. You might have a better view. You might have a better commute. You might have a better job, but you will still have to deal with what's inside. And I think that that's something that people just wish didn't happen. That, you know, when you move, just everything changes in your life. But the reality is you're still you. The people around you are still the people around you. But things will change. And it could get better for you. And maybe you'll even have the option to move back if it doesn't make as much sense for you as maybe you were hoping. This in no way was designed to make you second guess your life. I just want you to have all the information that you can, because if you move abroad, I want you to have the best experience possible, because I think it's a fantastic life experience. But thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, I'm going to leave my Patreon link right over here for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.